Some films have potential. They have ideas and concepts which are very interesting. But when it comes to the execution, it's either not good enough to support the idea and the concept, or the choice of it that doesn't work. I watched 3 films from 2023 which this applies to. Let's talk. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince, and whenever I talk about a film, I want to talk about its filmmaking aspects because that's what I can talk the most about. That's what intrigues me. Be it a very highly anticipated film or a film with a very good word of mouth, I want to talk about the filmmaking aspects, why it worked or maybe why it didn't work. And if I don't have anything to say to add to the film, I don't make a video. And when I don't like a film, it's not about bashing and just complaining. I want to give a constructive criticism and talk about why it didn't work for me. But when there are people who really liked the film and really enjoyed it, they feel I'm just, trying to put negative thoughts about the film out. And that's never the intention. My intention is never to, target the makers, the actors, bash them and say they don't know how to do. It's never to attack them. Now, the 3 films I'm talking about today, I still get comments to watch those films and make a review. And I thought, let's make this video where I briefly talk about all of them and explain why it didn't work for me. Now, the common thing between all of them is that they had potential, but it just fell short of the execution, especially the filmmaking aspect. It can also be that I was not the target audience for these films. And if you think that, you can let me know in the comments below. Now, moving forward, there will be minor spoilers ahead. So if you have seen the film, then only continue watching. So in the order of me watching them, the first is Garudan, the Malayalam thriller. Now this film stars Suresh Gopi and Biju Menon, and I remember watching the trailer of it and it was very interesting, but since then it was just out of my radar until I got so many requests to check it out, which I did, and it was not a great experience. Definitely the strongest part of this film is its writing. It is a very interesting thriller. It is very fresh in the concept also, but with a star like Suresh Gopi, who I know is known for making over the top films, that's the execution they went on with. Maybe a more grounded and nuanced approach would have helped the film, but that wasn't the case. It was clearly a commercial vehicle, and apart from Biju Menon, the acting was very subpar. Some of the supporting actors were just acting to a different gallery. The filmmaking throughout I felt was very average. The way it was shot, the music used, and it is an investigation thriller in a sense, and the main core issue, the main crime that happens at the beginning of the film that leads to the whole film, it feels like it was just a plot point for the film to happen, because later the film becomes an ego battle between these 2 characters, and the film is quite long. Now I don't know, maybe I wasn't into the film, that's why it felt more long to me, but I had to really sit through it. And these are very small things that matter. Even if one of it doesn't work, you'll be out of the film. And here multiple things didn't work. There's a lot of cliche stuff you see, very convenient writing at places. And by the end, when everything is resolved, there's a hint to a sequel also, which I'm not sure if I want to see. So moving to the next film, the Telugu romantic drama Hi Nanna, starring Nani and Munal Thakur and the lovely baby Kiara. Now the idea behind the film was very interesting. Now this film played really well with the trailer of it. It misguided you because watching the film you feel like, oh, you have seen the trailer so you know what's happening. But that's not the case, and a twist happens that I didn't see coming. And I would say watching the whole film, that twist is the only thing that stood out to me. And that's not a good thing because that twist just happens for what, a minute or so. The narrative idea of the film was very fascinating. A mother who has lost her memories and don't know she has a kid, and some years later she meets that kid again and feel some connection. And there have been similar stories done in the past too. Now the way the film justifies this plot is that these 2 people fell in love at first sight, and we get all of that as a backstory which is being told to a kid. So you can say, oh, there'll be lack of details in it, but still it felt very one tone. And the film, through Munal Thakur's character, established that she has some trauma because her parents are getting separated and she doesn't believe in love anymore and marriage anymore, and doesn't even want to have kids because she doesn't want those kids to suffer from the same thing. And that's a very real thing. A lot of people suffer through that. It's a very complex idea, but this film treats it at a very surface level. Like there's zero nuance and zero complexity to it. The conflicts are thin as a paper. Talking about marriage, talking about having kids, the couples not agreeing at it. It's a very real world, situations happening, in modern couples. But the film never explores it at any level. The conflict is there and then it's just solved like this. The answer to everything is love. And the same thing is with Nani's character. You don't know any backstory. He's just a photographer. That's it. We never see his family, where he comes from, his house, house. No, just for love he comes to Mumbai, and then he gets married, and then to give a better life to the wife he does something, I guess, and then he becomes very rich, and he has bought a whole bungalow now in Mumbai, which is gonna be very, very expensive. So there's not just a lack of relatability but realism also. And I know the debate, it's a fictional film, you should not think about all this thing. Why don't you think about this for that certain film and that film, and all of that will arise. But a film is all about make and believe, and this film wasn't able to do that for me. Performances wise, Nani was fine. I think he has done similar stuff before also, but Munal Thakur was how to put it, didn't work for me. Like, it really felt like before memory loss she was a different person, after memory loss it was a different person. It was interesting that she lost the memory exactly before the parents got divorced, but I'm assuming they were fighting for a long time, right? Trauma is not just, oh, they're getting divorced and that has given you trauma. You have seen them argue, fight and all of that. So just before all that, that should be really like all this, logical things. You are questioning these logical things because you're not into the film. I have to give it to the film, and a lot of places they try to subvert your expectations. You think now they're gonna do this in this plot, but they don't do it. They take a turn. But just at that point, they'll do the most cliche stuff ever. She has lost her memory, so she has a fiance now, and now she's totally distracted with the kid. So the film is showing us that the fiance is not a good guy, kind of painting him as a villain. And then the brother of the fiance comes and hate Nani because they stay away from the girl, and then you find out, oh, that is actually a good guy and they are doctors, and it just doesn't work. As I said, the idea and the potential of this was really good, but the way it just unfolds doesn't work. The best portions were between Nani and the kid. The bond they shared, the scenes they had between them, those felt real. Those felt that they have depth and weight. And in a sense, the film also paints a woman who doesn't want to be with his husband anymore, and she's fighting with him and she wants a divorce, and she's the villain. That's the way the film portrays her, that she doesn't have any depth and why she's doing this. She's just wrong, and through that you're kind of indicating that, oh, this is wrong, these people are wrong in society, without giving a complex depiction of them. I don't like to use this word a lot, but at moments I did feel cringe in this film. Now moving to the third film, the Malayalam courtroom drama Neru. If you don't know, I'm a very big fan of courtroom dramas, one of my favorite genres, be it in any language. And this one, I have to say, is the most dull and average courtroom drama I have seen. The first thing I noticed was the filmmaking. It was just too ordinary. The way the scene was composed, the way the characters were standing, it was just it felt like these people are standing in front of camera. It didn't it lacked a sense of it's happening in real. People are sitting the way they're talking. It was framed as if it's a movie. Then the overuse of the music. There's literally a scene, if you have seen the film, the camera is placed on the car and Mohanlal is sitting in the car, and the car is coming from the road to the court. Then Mohanlal gets down, the camera still follows him. Interesting shot, right? Trying to give a one take, and the music is very arousing. Oh, it's a very heroic moment, and then nothing happens, and I was like, why this scene? Like, what's the point? And that's just one of the example. There are a lot of convenient moments, very forced plot points which makes no sense, but they're just there to take the story ahead and make you feel something. And honestly, throughout the running time of this film, which is 2 hours 30 minutes, I didn't feel anything. Frustration definitely had moments, but nothing else. And that's really disappointing, because the idea of this film, that a blind girl has gone through this atrocious crime, and how will she defend herself? How will she prove the act was committed? She's blind. That is such a fascinating concept. I don't know if it's based on a real story. And saying that, I would expect a film to be gut-wrenching, to shake you up. You should feel the injustice or the fear for these characters, and you don't need to show that crime to make you feel that. In the past, there are many films without showing anything, they just create this atmosphere which the audience feel, and this film just couldn't do it. And with courtroom dramas, sometimes you don't know who the real culprit is, and it's about finding them and then proving that in the court against all the odds. And the other ones, just like this film, where you know who the culprit is, and it's just about how are you gonna prove it in the court, or maybe through this you want to prove a point. Now with this film, it's very given who the culprit is, but the whole thing of proving it in the court and the different tangent only they go on, it's very, very uninteresting, because it feels like you are just away from the main point, and then in the climax you come back to the point. Like in the climax, she has to prove that she can sculpt someone just by touching in their face for just 5 minutes. And that's a cool idea. But she has to be alone in a room with that person for 5 minutes. And who do they choose? The opposite lawyer who's trying to prove that the culprit is innocent. And also the lawyer who has been accused of fabricating evidence which is proved in the court. There's a case going on him separately. How can anyone allow him to be there 5 minutes alone with the victim? That makes no sense to me. So you can see that the plot is trying to force you to feel the pain of her, that he's saying all these wrong things to her and she still has to figure out his face. It's manipulative. The film is trying to get to our chords to make us feel angry here, forcefully, very unorganically. It's very clear the film is going for a commercial appeal with a lot of dialogue delivery. The characters were just wafer thin. There was a backstory given, but it didn't do anything. It was quite pointless. Like even with Mohanlal's character, I know he's a legend, but even his performance didn't work for me. Maybe I saw it in subtitles and it was just not matching. And they kind of give a backstory to his character. He doesn't feel confident and he doesn't want to go to court again and all of that. You never know why. But after that, you don't see any hesitation from him. You actually don't see him struggling. There's no, character arc for him. He doesn't want to do it. He gets emotional. He does it. There's a setback. No, then again he does it. There's nothing. It actually reminds me of Pink, with Amitabh Bachchan's character. You see that he's retired, but he wants to help these girls. And he's struggling in the beginning and, slowly he's getting that confidence back. You don't have to do the same thing, but at least do something. Give me something. Acting wise, except Anuswara Ranjan who played Sarah, no one really stood out. There was this attempt to make the film very authentic, a lot of IPC section this and section that, and it just felt a lip service. Just to make it sound authentic, you are saying all these things. Because it's not blending with the drama of the film. There's a small detail the film did again and again, where anyone who would come in the court, as a witness, they don't know, right? Their first time coming to the court, so they don't know that they have to talk to the judge, not to the lawyer or the public. So this constant thing of, the lawyer constantly asking something and then say, no, talk to the judge, talk to the judge. And that's a good detail, maybe that happens a lot in our courts, but that just keeps happening and happening and happening all over the film. So you kind of get tired of it. All these details, all this authenticity should not come in between of the narrative. And this film really made me question my understanding of what happens in a court, especially in India. I've seen many courtroom dramas, some which are very highly fictionalized, some which are, very true to what really happens. The Marathi film Court. So I have the understanding from the films I have seen. So either all of them are wrong in, depicting a court, or this film didn't get a lot of things right. The combo of Mohanlal and Jitu Joseph, I was really looking forward to this film. I heard so many great things about it, but sadly it left me very disappointed. But I wasn't disappointed making this video talking about the best films of 2023 for me. Check out the long list. I do it very differently and see where your favorite film lies. What do you think? Definitely let me know in the comments. I know a lot of people would not agree with me, but that's totally fine. Let me know your opinions also, and I will see you next time.